I went and got some Taco Bell. Even with a coat on, it's a bit cold out there. Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar D8. Oh, it's you. It's nothing. I just find this a pleasant place to think. All of our preparations for today have been completed. Why don't we have some tea and relax while we wait? Forgive me. I'm always making you handle such troublesome matters. Please, rely on me even more. I am your wife. Naturally, I'm grateful to have you always coming to my aid. That's precisely why I am able to devote myself to my work. I understand. I understand about your work and the topic of father's inheritance, right? That has nothing to do with you. I just wanted to double check OBS. It's nothing more than fishing for rotten meat amongst greedy siblings. It's okay, dear. Everything will go well. Your businesses have never failed to work themselves out. Natsui softly cuddled close to Krause's shoulder. She complimented Krause on his hard work, but Natsui knew better than anyone that his work wasn't going well. Krause's project was something like a seesaw where a large amount of money swings. Big investments can lead to massive payoffs, but like large seesaws, they tend to shake a lot while moving very slowly instead of showing immediate results. At times, it's possible to make further investments so that the seesaw inclines faster towards the side you want. Of course, you'd only do that if you were confident you'd be able to recover all of your investments in the not-so-distant future. However, the seesaws Krause chose never turned out as he would have liked them to. His foresight wasn't wrong, but the times were moving sluggishly. They never managed to catch up with him. For example, think of a literal seesaw placed in a park. It's a really popular item, so there's always someone playing on it, and you've got to wait a long time for your turn. Let's say that one day you spotted one of those seesaws that was completely unused and you raced to grab it first, and have it all to yourself. However, unless someone got on the opposite side of the seesaw, you wouldn't be able to play on it. What if lots of times had passed and nobody came to the opposite end? Seesaws are popular, so if you wait long enough, a companion will surely show up. But Krause noticed something. The weather's getting worse, so nobody's coming outside to play. But seesaws are popular, so someone will surely come eventually. If he vacated his place because of the worsening weather, it would certainly be snatched away, and once again he'd end up longingly gazing from a distance at someone else having fun on the seesaw. On one side of the seesaw he continued to wait patiently, all alone. That was Krause's project and his current situation. If only I'd had a bit more courage and the self-confidence to believe in my own foresight, I would never have failed. Yes, that's true. Your foresight is never wrong. You are the only one who inherited father's resourcefulness. You inherited an innate disposition that none of the other siblings did. But I could never believe in it. I always shut my own projects down like a coward. Why can't I believe in myself? Who would believe in a man who can't believe in himself? Nobody believes. I'm always sitting on the seat where the losers must sit, and my father, my mother, and my siblings all sneer at me. How long is it going to take for me to be set free of this emotional complex? Just how long will it take? Natsui was the only one who knew. Only she knew of Krause's anguish, as the eldest son of the Ushiromiya family who would soon be forced to bear an immense responsibility. He couldn't open his pained heart to anyone, and was always getting compared to his father's great enterprises. I've made preparations concerning all other matters so that you will be able to devote your attention entirely to the family conference. Yes, everything else has been seen to. Thank you. Will there be any problems dealing with Father? No. Genji and Dr. Nanjo are on our side. I'll never allow those greedy siblings to make contact with Father. Hello, Goda here. Yes, please, leave it to me. I'm anxious to put my skills to work for the big annual job. In the kitchen, multicolored ingredients were gathered and the preliminary arrangements were promptly being started. Even though it was still morning, the ingredients for dinner were already in saucepans and steaming. Normally, he had to deal with several assorted matters, but on the day of the family conference, he could devote himself entirely to cooking. To Goda, who was originally a chef, this was surely the greatest gala occasion of the whole year. Yes, dinner will be calf steak. A wonderful cut of meat is already anxiously waiting for tonight in the refrigerator. Please be sure to look forward to dinner. It was rare for Goda to be in this good of a mood toward his fellow servants. Goda bragged about being the Ushiromiya's family's personal chef, and knowing he was considered worthy to display his excellent cooking at the family conference was his greatest honor. Understood. I will leave everything to you. Also, is Kumasawa there? Kumasawa-san? I happened to see her earlier, but she is not here. Perhaps she went to get things ready in the guest house. Is she loafing around again? No, it is fine. Please continue with your work. Yes, leave everything to me, Goda. Genji placed the telephone back on the receiver, sighing lightly. Genji sighed once again, thinking of Kumasawa, who was probably hiding again even though things were this busy, and the ostentatious Goda, who only felt like doing anything on a day when he could show off. Excuse me, the preparations for all the rooms in the guest house are complete. We received instructions from our lady to prepare a room for 4 people so that the children can spend the night together, so what shall we do? I hear Battler-sama will be coming for the first time in 6 years. Presumably, my lady wants to stay up late into the night with her 3 cousins. Make the preparations. You do not need to tell Madame. You guys say Madame or Madam? I see. Certainly. So tonight we'll have the late night shift followed immediately by the morning shift. It looks like these 2 days will be tiresome. Speaking of which, the weather forecast is saying a typhoon will strike in this area. Will everything be all right? Assuming the typhoon doesn't stray too far from its course, it may affect the boat ride back for the family members. The family conference's schedule might be extended until Monday or Tuesday. Our tasks may be a long and tiring one, but I earnestly ask that you take care not to make any blunders. Shannon, remain calm and do not panic. Cannon, be sure to greet our guests in a sociable manner. Yes, I'll be careful. Today, we must conduct ourselves in a manner suitable for a very important guest. See to it that you make no blunders. We understand. All guests who visit here are important. Cannon, in the truest sense, we will be receiving a very important guest today. Make sure that you are prepared. Yes, sir. Shannon, is something the matter? You seem to be uneasy. Do you have some prior engagement at this time? Huh? No, it's nothing. My apologies. Nay, son, important guests will be arriving today. Detach yourself from your private life. I don't know what you mean by my private life. As Shannon blushed just a bit, she turned her gaze away from the clock. Was it about time for the airplane carrying the family to arrive at Nijima? She tried to hide the fact that her upcoming long-awaited reunion with George was making her heart race, but Cannon, who stood beside her, seemed to see right through her. I assume from different arcs, like episode 2, we're seeing more of what's happening behind the scenes. But I assume all the parts we're not seeing, like everyone meeting at the terminals and stuff. I assume all of that's happening exactly the same. Shannon, please don't say a word and accept this. Inside a bathroom stall, George was practicing something over and over, taking out a small velvet box hidden in his pocket like a quick-draw desert gunman. That's not it. Shannon likes men who are more assertive. I've got to pump it up with more horsepower. Shannon! Put this on your face! God, I can't do that with straight face. Shannon, put this on your finger. I was trying to say I'm doing the same thing, man. I am making the same face. I was like, just like, yeah, I'm saying it. Like, I can't do that. Fuck. That kind of reminds me, I wrote a parody song of the Sweet Dreams song. I wrote it about Nekos. Those are cat people. It's an anime thing. Yes, bit of an otaku here. But the main point is and of course anybody else is welcome to sing it if they want. I can look forward to listening to anyone else's rendition of my song. I'll put a link to it in the description. But all the Nekos are meowing for headpats. Heck, I'll put a few other links in the description I think would be interesting and enjoyable watches, which, yes, may sound very unusual given my channel, since most of my stuff could be described as boring and weird. Yeah. Well, I doubt this is the first video of mine that you've come across. So, but out of nearly 4,000 videos, I at least have a few that I would consider the ones that I would consider highly recommended as far as I'm concerned. That being said, the very top link in the description will be a link to I wrote a song. All the Nekos are meowing for headpats. And I sang it, though technically I sang it 1.5 times, because the first time through I could not keep a straight face and I just started laughing at how fucking stupid it is and how cringe and silly the song is. Because, like, I'm not gonna, pretend for a second that it's some masterful fucking work of, like, I don't know, not being cringe, because I was like, it's completely cringe. But it's like I was just laughing at it. I'm like, it's supposed to make other people laugh, not myself. So it was like the first time I tried to sing through it, I could not help myself but laugh, because it's just so dumb. But hey, I still like it. I'm still proud of the fact that I wrote the song. But yeah, I'll put some links in the description for what I would consider to be the most silly things I could recommend that you watch. But yeah, I could totally understand you, George. I'm making the same face. It's just I was trying to like make a go at all, like, oh, we're being a sort of, Shannon, put this in. I could like Shannon, put this on your, and it's just like and you'd think I wouldn't feel self-conscious or embarrassed, just talking to myself. But then again, isn't George doing the exact same thing? He's just talking, and yet he's so fucking embarrassed, even though he's literally just talking to himself. At least the good thing about being Let's Plays is that it makes it seem less crazy that I'm talking to myself and more normal. Then again, it's not like I'll ever make a cent from this channel. Heck, I never will. I never have, I never will. I'll never have sponsorships or super chats or make a single cent. Now, don't get me wrong, there'll probably be times that YouTube will probably put advertisers and ads in my videos. I really don't have a control over that. But I'll never make a cent off of it. So, if you do have to watch ads, sorry. But yeah, I'll never make a cent from any of these videos, but I'm still getting exactly what I want out of doing it, and that is, I just want to make the videos. I've always liked Let's Plays, and, well, I just enjoy being able to do it. I remember watching lots of videos of people like Slow Beef, Rom Scout, Ultra J-Man, Cloud8745, Freelance Astronauts, Proton John. Back at a time, when Mario ROM hacks like Super Mario World were made with lunar magic. I remember watching Ultra J-Man play I Wanna Be the Guy, or his co-op playthrough of How to Be a Complete Bastard with ROM Scout, or even his playthroughs of Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril, and Battle Kid 2, Mountain of Torment. It was enjoyable games. Heck, I could probably go on for quite a long time if I just started talking about video games I'd recommend all of you, but I've said before, I'm going to try to stay on topic and stay focused on the video game. We've already gone to the tangent, and I'm trying not to go on tangents anymore. Main point being, there's a lot of really good video games out there, and I've been playing them most of my life, and I enjoy as heck. I enjoy music in video games. I enjoy great environments in a video game. So, but yeah, I'll put some links in the description, the top of which will be All the Net Goes Meowing for Head Pats, a song that I wrote at one point in the past, a few years ago. And, well, anybody else out there, if you want, you are welcome to record your own rendition of singing it. Not if anyone had the interest to do that, but heck, if you do, cool, just let me know and I'll check it out. Beyond that, eventually I'll get around to actually trying to learn German, but I'll include a few things I've done where I've tried to. Predominantly, I do want to learn German. If I could just learn quite a few languages very fast, I'd want to learn German, Japanese, French, Hebrew, maybe Greek and Latin, but predominantly, I would say German. But yeah, I couldn't keep a straight face, and it's hilarious to me that, at least to me anyway, that George wound up making the same face. We both feel equally embarrassed by how fucking cringe we're being. If I don't say properly that it's on the left hand, maybe she'll put it on her right hand, and no, Shannon isn't that ignorant. Well, it's not that she's ignorant, it's more so the same way you will feel flustered about it, even rehearsing it, when it's, brought up to her under certain circumstances, she certainly would be very flustered herself. And it is certainly difficult to think clearly under stressful or rushed circumstances. But unless there's some room for her to express her free will, that'd be a little, ooh, yeah. As he crossed his arms, muttering, someone knocked on the door. George snapped back to reality. Hey, George Coon, you okay? Got a stomachache or something? Hey, Uncle Rudolph. It's okay, I'm fine. No need to worry. Really? That's good then. But you're straining way too much. Your ass'll burst. Rudolph washed his hands, laughing cheerfully as he left. George, realizing that the most embarrassing part hadn't been overheard, relaxed and felt extremely relieved. Kyrie, isn't Rosa here yet? Not yet. By the way, I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing this. But even though I still have to say Kyrie on the left here looks a lot like Ivy from Soul Calibur 2, a fighting game for the PS2. And while I would describe myself as bisexual, I would certainly say Kyrie would be definitely my type. I find her very beautiful, I find her to be very intelligent, and I like her personality. Also, even though everyone is dressed spiffy, I like the outfit she's wearing, and I think she looks really great in it. Also, I like her face and her tits. That being said, that's probably true of most anime characters. Just about all the girls in this game are attractive. And some of the guys. But, main point being, if you're going to draw characters, you can draw whatever you want. So why wouldn't you draw the women to be beautiful? Think about how dumb that would have to be if you like designed a video game where you can design the characters to look however you want. Who would go out of their way to design ugly looking characters? Why wouldn't you go for a character that looks like this, that is like the pinnacle of beauty? Like, I find Kairi to be very, very beautiful. Plus, I like her personality. Both her, just her as a person, but also I do like how intelligent she is. Then again, I would say even if you added the intelligence of every woman I've ever been with, it would not come close to Kairi. Then again, one could also say, if I was going completely ideal in what I thought of Kairi. Heck, I've talked before, I like the color scheme. I like the colors black, red, purple, and gold. Heck, I would say I would describe purple as a favorite color. And while a lot of people go with being the color of royalty, it's also considered the color of humanity, of empathy, of compassion, of expression. Then again, if I were to meet someone like Kairi, I would probably imagine I would like her as Futa or a girl who just likes to wear a strap-on. Not that I've actually ever been with a woman with a strap-on or with a Futa. But hey, at some point I had to say something in this video that's going to make everyone out there uncomfortable. At this point it's like, hey, you're just saying, oh, you're bisexual. You like femboys and futanari. It's both half a joke to be cringed and actually half serious. But yeah, I don't know, like, I think this is why we try to avoid tangents here on Lunar D8 Studios, because you never know where the fuck we're going to go with this conversation, but more than likely it's going to be, I'm not going to have any clue where we're going, I'm not going to stay focused on anything, I'm going to jump between topics conversation. I mean, heck, the only thing you can be rest assured of is that anything I say is going to sound gay and depressing. Heck, I promise nothing, I guarantee even less. And, well, the only thing consistent about my channel is complete and total lack of professionalism. And even though I am trying to stay focused, it's just every slightest provocation, my mind just jumps the fucking track. And we're just, it's like, oh, look, Kairi has awesome titties. She has a pretty face. Look at her cool outfit. Oh, George is saying something cringe that made me feel so cringed that I started laughing because I couldn't say it with a straight face. So, yeah. That being said, by the way, if anyone does click on any of the links below, feel free to comment or on the videos or even in this video about those videos. But I'll try to link the videos I think that would be the most interesting. And at least the top link, all the Nekos are meowing for headpats, it's a fairly short video. There might be a few videos I include that, well, are quite long. In fact, I've been trying to avoid longer videos, and I feel like I should already end this video because we've been talking for a bit, even before I started the tangents. But I really do like this story, and I want to keep reading, so, but I just want to say, yeah. Everyone's like, yeah, what? You know what I mean. Everyone like, Lunar, we can't hear or understand you spacing out, staring into the spot where her nipples would be, or imagining very lewd actions with Kairi on the screen there. So, going off of the tangent, where I'm imagining, at best half-naked Kairi, saying things that you would actually hear in like an ASMR or something a VTuber would say. I don't know. Anyway, let's focus on the story. I apologize for being easily distracted. Oh yeah, but yeah. Then I've said before, like Natsui, Rosa, Kairi, all of them absolutely beautiful. To be fair, I think I saw, I don't forget which characters I saw in what order when I started playing this game. Or in episode 2 out of 8, which will never, it'll be for 1,000 videos later if I keep, getting distracted. She's pretty late. It's a good thing the weather's delaying our flight. Our schedule had gone on. If the schedule had gone on normally, she would have missed the plane. What'd she plan on doing then? Rosa-san is very much an adult now. She'll manage it somehow. No matter how old they get, older brothers always treat their youngest sisters like children. Of course, Dad's always a kid, no matter how old he gets. What'd you say? If I'm a kid, that'd make you a baby. Come on, Battler-chan, up you go. Stop it, that tickles. Stop. You look more like two bratty friends than a father and a son. Look, she's here. But yeah, in general, I do like Kairi. Out of all the people, I think, I like her face, I like her personality, I like her tits, I like her body, I like her clothing, I like her personality, and I like that, she's a very intelligent, mature individual. Oh, if it isn't Rosa-san. Maria-chan, long time no see. By the way, I've described my personality in various Dragon Ball Z, fusions. Although I've mentioned the list of fusions multiple times, and I won't go through them right here, but... Well, I might as well. Hold on, let me go get... And yes, I know what you were about to say. Lunar, you're going on off another tangent. I'm like, you're correct. I would describe my personality as 11 Dragon Ball Z fusions. Fusion number 1, you can tell by the profile picture, which I found randomly on the internet, probably like a decade ago or so, I have no idea where. But, fusion number 1, Yusuke Urameshi and Sailor Moon. Fusion number 2, Astolfo and Jack Hanma. Fusion number 3, Chronogorgon from the Soul Eater and Vash the Stampede. Fusion 4, Stein from Soul Eater and Nagisa from Assassination Classroom. Fusion 5, Chip the Cable Guy, as played by Jim Carrey, and Ernest P. Worrell, as played by Jim Varney. Fusion number 6, Vegeta, and the 2003 Guilty Gear XX Testament. Fusion number 7, Goku, and Tsukasa from Dot X Sign. Fusion 8, Shinji Ikari and Zelos Metallium. Fusion 9, Licht Bach Rihito from Plunderer, and Takumi Nishijo from Chaos Head Noah. Fusion 10, Date from AI the Somnium Files, particularly the first of that game trilogy, and Mikon Sumaki, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Island. And Fusion number 11, Mega Man Volnut from Mega Man Legends, and Alucard from Team 4 Star. Though I'd say out of this game, while I could certainly see some understanding and correlation with canon in comparison to myself. I would describe the most accurate description of, if I were to take two, as I do with the 11 fusions I mentioned earlier, if I were to take two anime characters and combine them with a Dragon Ball Z Batara Earrings fusion or DBZ fusion dance, either way the characters fuse together, in terms of their personalities. For example, I would say if you combine the personalities of Astolfo and Jack Hanma, you'd get me. Heck, I would say the physical appearance of that fusion, as well as an anime character that not only looks like a physical appearance of that, but also is what I think it would physically look like, would be Ramadan Amamura, which I have shared a few pictures of before. It is from an anime called Hypnosis Mike. Heck, if anything, I feel that if you were to have a wish to make Perfect Cell into a human form, that Ramuda is what Cell would wind up looking like in that situation. Heck, to a degree, I kind of represent myself as Ramuda or various other people. Even, heck, I would say to a large degree, look at the top post in my community posts, Illumi Zoldyck. I would say, you guys want to envision me as anything? Envision me as Illumi Zoldyck. Now, is that what I actually look like? No. No. I look more like Lavos out of Chrono Trigger. That being said, you can imagine I look like Illumi Zoldyck, like the top picture in my community posts. You can imagine I look like that. Then again, I imagine many people imagine, viewing in a version of themselves that is what, I don't know, be considered more attractive. What can I say? I don't like people thinking I'm ugly because, well, I would like some compliments or a hug. Don't remember what a hug feels like. But I'm very good at talking to myself and walking on bike trails and just talk. Like, I once saw a turtle on the side of the bike trail. I was like, how the fuck did you get here, Mr. Turtle? I left the turtle alone, but I talked to him for a few minutes. But I'm like, I think in the summer months. I don't really remember. Main point is this: if I had to pick characters, granted, I can definitely see correlations in terms of. I think we all can in all of these characters. And while I can see some similarities between myself and canon, I would say if I had to combine any two characters in this entire game, at least as far as we've been introduced to, that I felt the combination of their personalities would net something I think similar to my own, would be a DBZ fusion of Battler and Maria. Let's hope in future videos I can stay at least 5% more focused. Ooh. Maria? Shouldn't that be it's good to see you again? Great, Hideyoshi-san. Greet Hideyoshi-san properly. Ooh. It's good to see you again? There you go. Well said. How about some candy as a reward? Oh, huh? Where'd I put it? Rosa-san, it's good to see you again. It's good to see you too, Maria-chan. It's been too long, Kairine-san, Hideyoshi-ni-san, and oh my, Battler-kun, look how big you've gotten. Ah, come on, ha ha ha. It's embarrassing to hear that from everyone I meet. Hey, Rosa, you're late. If the plane was on time, you'd barely have made it. I'm sorry. We had some trouble making our train connections, so are we waiting on the weather again? Oh, don't complain. Why do I feel like this expression of face is like something you'd see out of Chapter Black in Yu Hakusho? I much prefer the 30-minute plane trip to spending 6 hours bouncing out on a boat. Even if we're kept waiting here for over an hour, it's still much faster overall. Is that Maria? You sure have gotten big. She's at that growing age. You haven't seen her for 6 years, right? Of course she's changed. Women are creatures who can be born again in a single day, when they have a change of heart. Ooh? Maria, noticing a big man she didn't recognize mixed in amongst the relatives, hid behind Rose's back and glared at Battler. Come on, Battler, say hi. The last time you met her, she was just 3 years old, so you're practically meeting her for the first time. Yeah, of course, she wouldn't remember something that happened when she was 3. Hey, Maria, long time no see. You sure have gotten big. Maria, this is Battler Oni-chan, Rudolph Nissan's son. Understand? The brother is the son. Ooh? She was obviously on her guard. After all, it was hardly surprising that she'd be scared if a large guy like Battler suddenly started speaking frankly to her. Battler noticed that as well and thought of various ways he might approach her. Then he spotted the candy she had in her hand. It was the jack-o'-lantern sweet Rosa had bought for her. I see, it's October, so that must be for Halloween, hee hee. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank, right? Normally, trying to snatch a sweet away from a small child would result in them crying and screaming. The adults seemed dubious about Battler's tactics, but Maria looked unexpectedly pleased, her face splitting into a wide grin. Halloween! Halloween! I know I was saying this a bit in the previous video, but I like the various holidays. I especially love Christmas. But Halloween, Easter, and various other holidays, I value things like festivities, culture, and family, and above all, good music. There's a band called Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Absolutely beautiful music. I have a link to that. I have 2 links in the previous video. One to one of their albums. It's Christmas music. I think it's very beautiful. And the other to a band called Smile Empty Soul. A good band. I would say more of the same rock genre as maybe System of a Down, Disturbed, Korn, Tool, Perfect Circle. So, I think perhaps you would enjoy that. But what can I say? I like holidays, but I especially like Christmas. But I can certainly get behind Halloween as well. See, Mama, Battler also knows about Halloween. See? Hey, call him Battler Oni-chan. Sorry, Battler-kun. No, don't sweat it. Please, call me Battler, 'cause I'll be calling you Maria. Look, Maria, it's Halloween. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank. If you don't give me sweets, I'll play a prank. Giggle. From inside her purse, Maria picked out a jack-o'-lantern sweet, similar to the one she had in her hand, and presented it to Battler. When Battler accepted it, that seemed to be enough to confirm their friendship. The adults were amazed at how good children can be getting along with each other. Maria had been throwing a tantrum because she wanted a Halloween festival, so Battler, who knew about trick-or-treating, must have felt like an ally. Her defensive posture from before was completely gone. Now she was all cheery as though they had been friends for decades. That's right, Halloween's a pretty minor event in Japan. You always see people marching in costume parades on the news from overseas, but I've never seen it here. I wanted to wear a costume too. Wanted to say trick or treat, with all the cousins wearing costumes. I wonder if trick-or-treating actually has the same vein as, like, anime in the regards that regardless of the reason, whether it be for a holiday or for whatever reason you'd have for anime mainly. Insert your own take on that in the comments. Basically, I'm just saying is this. I would imagine a lot of people like the idea of wearing cosplay and seeing other people's cosplay. Unfortunately, many cosplays probably cost, well, quite a bit. Heck, I imagine there's a lot of anime outfits I think look really awesome, but would be very expensive and also, honestly, a bit embarrassing. I see. Next time, let's do it together. What would you like to dress up as? A witch. Beatrice. Oh, milady, what are you doing in such a place? Madam was looking for you. I'm here because I don't want to be found. Anyway, I'm sure she just wants to scold me like, is your appearance all right? And watch your language. Oh, ho, 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 without a doubt. You know, when the day of the family conference comes, I always start thinking about this witch for some reason. Oh, and why might that be? The family conference is the day when everyone related to grandfather gathers. I hear that this time even Battler's going to be coming after 6 years. What if, just like that, some relative who hasn't shown themselves for several decades suddenly shows up? That's what I'm always thinking about. Oh ho ho, could a relative like that exist? I mean, Beatrice-sama? Nobody knows her background. Could she be grandfather's mistress from long ago? What if one of her descendants suddenly appears and tells us to return the gold we were given or something? Oh ho ho ho, Kraus-sama, and the others will probably discuss the master's inheritance problems here too. Once they get so fired up about talking about the witch's gold, one could hardly be surprised if the witch herself were to show up, yes? Kumasawa-san, I guess you keep quitting and getting rehired but you've been here as long as Genji-san, right? You know more about Beatrice, don't you? Who knows? Oh ho ho, even if I try to remember, this old woman here can't even recall what she had for breakfast. You might want to see a doctor about that. Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease is pretty serious. Kumasawa-san, you're always dodging with those excuses, but you know something, right? Sometimes you feel kinda devious, like you know something, and you're laughing behind our backs. Oh ho 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 ho, that's harsh. I don't have any secrets. The only thing I can say is that Beatrice-sama is the Golden Witch, and that she is the other master who controls the night of this island. By the way, apparently Amazon and a lot of places are using AI to voice their dubs, and rather than having actual people. And again, I don't have any qualms with that. You know, whether you want to have an anime animated with AI, voiced by AI, written by AI, directed by, or even a video game made entirely AI, that's fine. At the end of the day, the thing I care most about is this: quality. I don't care if it's a human or an AI that makes whatever product I enjoy. What I care about is how much I enjoy it. And a lot of the AI dub stuff just seemed very poor to the point that I could voice it better. That being said, yeah, I always have a little bit of a soft spot for the human touch of things. In fact, heck, even before AI, you have all the CG stuff. If you look back at a lot of the older anime from the 70s and 80s, how everything was drawn by hand with no CG effects. Honestly, I think the style looks amazing and is better than a lot of things. Now, granted, I enjoy anime of every decade. And I would certainly still enjoy an anime even if it was made on every level by AI. But I will say this. I still think a lot of the older animes are great, and I think if you really want to see an anime that's the best, you should go for the older ones. And I think if we ever do have access to see an older anime, it should be uncensored in any way. Whatever, like if you see an older anime from the 70s or the 80s, it should be exactly as it was when it first came out. You shouldn't have people censoring or editing things to try to make it more sensible for modern people. Anime should be exactly as it was when it was released. Same as if there's video games. If there was a video game that came out in the 90s or 2000s. Now I would say if you do have it online, there should be options to toggle on a censored version, but it shouldn't be the only version available. And the reason I say that is because, well, there may be people, such as myself, who may want to let's play it, and well, there are certain things that YouTube would not allow. So, but aside from, somebody who's going to be, streaming or recording it to publish it, I think when it comes to any sort of video game that's for private consumption, it shouldn't be edited in any way. And even if there is an edited version, you should have the option to toggle it on and off. So if you want to play it in its absolute original version, it should be. And regardless of whether it's a toggled version or any amount of editing whatsoever, I think if a video game or anime is ever edited or censored in some way, it has to come with a disclaimer mentioning that it's been edited and changed. But yeah, I would say in general the best way is that if you're going to have a video game, you have censorship with it, you should have a toggle to turn on and off. And if you're going to sell anime in some sort of censored version, one, you need to be honest about it and tell people that you're censoring the product they're buying. And even if there is some legal reason why you have to do that, either allow them to buy a version that has the full product in its original form, or at least have it in extras, like an extra option in the menu to where you could see everything in its original. But even then, there should be the same way you can choose whether or not to have subtitles or what audio dub you have in an anime when you're watching on DVD. If there is a censored version, there should be an option to just toggle that on and off. But I certainly understand that if you wanted to be able to, like, say if you owned a DVD and you wanted to let somebody else watch, or you wanted to stream it online, but you didn't want to, show excessive violence or nudity, yes, you should have the option, but in general, it shouldn't be like everything's just edited and censored because, well, myriad of reasons, whether it be out of concern about appealing to a certain audience or even the own political sensibilities of the people doing the editing. Perhaps even just trying to change a meaning of something to be something they agree with. I feel that whether it be anime, movie, books, or even history itself, everything should be preserved as it is. Things shouldn't be edited or changed. Like if anime is going to come out, like you're going to re-release an anime from the 70s, it should be exactly as it was when it came out in the 70s. Heck, if you were going to have a history book that was written a couple hundred years ago, you shouldn't edit it or censor it or remove or redact things. Now, yes, you might have like a reprinting that has notes on the side to where, like, hey, this is what people believed when they wrote this book, but we've since proven this mathematical formula differently, or like, hey, this scientist thought this would be impossible, but now we found this equation that allows faster and light travel or something. Addendums like that. But you should still have the original text there so that you can see exactly as it was written when it came out. Now, yes, if something's changed, you can have an addendum to the side that as an extra note, like, hey, in this year we found this out, or heck, even if it's just out of political sensibilities, then just have a note on the side saying, yada yada, I, the editor of this book, thought this one thing sounded like hate speech, and I didn't like it. And I personally don't approve of it. But it's still here because I'm not going to just black it out with a bunch of black marker or some shit and just pretend it doesn't exist or change it to say something else. And And again, if you're going to put it to the side that you disagree with it either should be, no matter what, you should be honest. It should be either you're putting out there, hey, we found new information that disproves what's there, but we're still going to show the old information so you know what was considered back then. Or if we're going to put that we disagree with it because of our own political or religious beliefs, then we need to put an addendum saying, hey, it should be an addendum on the addendum. Like, you should have the original text, and you have an addendum to the side saying that you disagree with it because of this and this reason, and then you put an addendum below that addendum saying that the top addendum was because of your own biases, even though you feel that your bias is, the correct way to view the world and is morally right, and who knows, you're probably correct on that. That being said, regardless of you being correct or not, doesn't change the fact that your main reason for putting that, notation is your own feelings. And that you are at least acknowledging that your own feelings on the matter are in contradiction to what the beliefs are of the person who originally wrote the book, perhaps a couple hundred years before you were born. And even then, there's a lot of books to where, like, take The Odyssey, which was written like 3,000 years ago. Oh, I could certainly imagine so much of that, even in the first page of that book, that people with modern sensibilities would find very disagreeable. But at the end of the day is this. If you were to have an addendum for everything in that, you'd be writing a whole extra book on the side. And it'd be distracting, and it would be taking away from the experience of reading the book. Sometimes you need to be able to just read an old piece of literature, whether it's fiction or even nonfiction. And you need to be able to just read it and take it for what it is. You need to even drop your own proclivities on what you think about it. Heck, isn't that true of any time we watch a movie in a movie theater? You're having a suspension of disbelief. Imagine if you're watching a movie in a movie theater and there was just a constant pause for a narrator to pop in and be like, by the way, this isn't realistic, or aliens don't actually exist, or this future is based on a world with fast light travel, which we don't have. Or addendums like imagine if you had a 1950s movie and every 30 seconds there was a pause to where the person who edited the movie for modern times is typing in saying, oh, but what that character said right there was sexist, or remember, this is a time before the internet or televisions. It's still interesting when it comes to TVs that, modern LCD TVs, most people are familiar with the idea of a blue screen. Most people don't even remember the idea of static snow or payphones. Heck, I remember a time before the internet. I remember a time before cell phones. I still have the 10 VHS box set of the uncut Frieza saga. It's 33 episodes on 10 VHS tapes. I still have my old VCR. But I remember when floppy disks came out. And it was such huge scientific advancement. I remember when texting first existed, and in order to do it, you had to type numbers. So you wanted the letter S, you had to type the number 7 4 times. And you might be able to type a couple sentences a week. It wasn't unlimited texting at all. A phone couldn't connect to the internet. Then again, I remember time before the internet. I remember a time when your dial-up internet was it was just terribly slow internet. You couldn't use the phone at the same time, and every time it was the fax machine noise. It was just the sounds of robots screaming in agony and pain. It's just... I don't know. And things keep changing. Heck, you have the Sora 2 AI videos nowadays. And again, I remember why we're talking about anime, but it's I like the older style animals. Don't be wrong though. If there's an anime made entirely by AI, I'm cool with that as long as it's good quality. If it's, at the end of the day, all I'm going to care about is this: what gets me my anime faster and better. And I understand in many situations, having anime done with AI can allow a series to be made much faster and for much cheaper. And there might be some people that want to develop an anime that wouldn't get it picked up by a bigger studio that want to just do it themselves. Heck, in a couple years, there'd be enough technology that if, any random person who doesn't know how to do anything could just use the AI thing to make any story they have come to life. Heck, you could even start animating fan fictions. You could take every fan fiction you ever thought of, heck, even the hentai ones, the lemons, and you could just have like, oh, here's an Evangelion fan fiction that's lewd, and now it's a full-on anime. Or you could just take fan fictions like, say, by Tuflorian, Stefan Gagne, who wrote stories of like, additions to the Slayers series, whether it be Demiurge or Dimerge, however you want to say it, Slayers Virtual, as well as Reflection, Chaos, and Rebirth. Really amazing novels, very long, but you could just do that and it gets made to a straight up and you could make anything into an anime. And heck, many people could like just start making their own video games. And that's great, whether it's an AI entirely or humans with a very much smaller studio, whether it just be an indie person, where it's just a couple people, they could just have it all done. And that's awesome. It lets people that normally would never be able to afford it or have the, resources to do it by themselves or have a bigger company do it. You could have anime made much easier by much more people having availability of it. Whereas, before you'd had to some rich company that had resources and manpower to work on it. And don't get me wrong, I still have a strong preference for the animes of, say, 70s and 80s in terms of just the art styles and the fact that it was all drawn by hand and it required a lot more work. And a lot of there's times where they had draw each individual grain of sand pretty much. It's just, there's a lot of older animes that are just, and many of them have amazing stories too and great characters. But at the end of the day, it's not a moral holdup for me. I don't care if it was drawn entirely by hand or if it was one of the modern studios that uses mangaka that are using AI tool, using CG computer graphics, or even just straight up AI all the way. All I care about is this. What quality am I getting and how long do I have to wait to get the anime? And when it comes right down to it is this. There's many anime that, are voice acted entirely by people. And heck, take Overlord, the story of Ainsul Gon. The voice acting in that, both the Japanese and the English versions, I like very, very much. And the voices are really good. I don't think an AI would be able to do a good enough job on that. Now, that being said, I also think that I'm just very partial to the sounds of those voices. But then again, that's just because I'm already used to those, because I've heard those characters quite a bit. I imagine if I had never seen any of the anime before, and it was just, I only ever saw a version of it that was voiced by AI, I may not have the same holdup. Either way, though, is this. When given the option, I would say I would prefer actual humans voicing a character, and I would prefer, if anything, not using AI to animate stuff and just doing it even the 90s style of using a little bit of computer graphics, or even the original style of drawing absolutely everything. And yes, I understand that takes longer to do and is much more expensive and much more difficult and requires a great deal more skill. But I would say that would be preferable. However, at the same time, if an anime is put before me and it's used a bunch of AI and stuff, I'm certainly no snob about it, and I'll certainly enjoy that as well. And I understand it's much cheaper and much faster to get made into an anime, and many animes that normally just would never get made into an anime at all now have the possibility of actually being animated. All I care about is the anime I'm seeing something I enjoy? That's it. All I care about is, do I enjoy what I'm seeing? Do I enjoy the voice act? Does the voice acting look good? Does the animation look fluid? If the AI is making animation that looks choppy and terrible, and the story's all over the place, much like my disorganized speech, because I can't seem to be focused worth a shit, or if just the voice acting sounds so fucking horrible that I could do a better job, then obviously at that point I'm like, yeah, the AI has failed. And don't be wrong, at that point it's still better to have terrible voice acting than no voice acting at all. But at the same time, you're like, it's one thing if you can do the AI voice acting and it works well enough and it's good. But there should be some sort of quality control. And I'm not talking about quality control in terms of, we need to be careful not to say a certain thing because it's, might come off as offensive to people. More so, does this sound like good voice acting? Does, the emotion carry correctly in the, is it enjoyable? Are people going to enjoy watching this? Are people going to enjoy listening to this? And that's what it comes right down to, is this. Now you might say, what about you, Lunar? There's no reason why anyone would ever enjoy listening to what you do. And I'm like, well, it's all comes down to intent. If you're an anime studio, you're trying to make money. You're trying to make a profit. You're trying to sell something. You're trying to sell people on the idea of buying your anime, buying your merch, loving your show so much that they want to support it and see additional seasons or even more work by you. Basically, you're trying to make money off of it, which again, I understand completely. But I'm not a product, and I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just some crazy guy talking to himself on the internet. I'm not trying to convince people to watch more of my videos or to buy some merchandise from me. Heck, even if nobody ever listens to my videos at all, I'm still accomplishing everything I want, which is just talking to myself. Now, don't get me wrong, tsundere as I am, if people show up in my comments and like the video and tell me they enjoy it and give polite, constructive discussion with me that I can engage in with them and say they just like being a part of whatever you would call my community, which is, I would have to say would be depraved because it's me. But main point is this. If people want to show up and, like the video and say nice things, then that's awesome. I really do appreciate that. But at the end of the day I have no expectations. And like I said, I'm never going to make a cent from any of these videos, and I really have no expectations for any more than a very niche amount of people to find any enjoyment watching these videos. If you're one of those people in that tiny niche of people that enjoys listening to me for some reason, well, then I greatly appreciate that. Now, I cannot promise more entertaining or focused content because I just can't. Let's be reasonable. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say there's going to be suddenly videos that are exciting or entertaining or well done or, I'm not insane in, because I can't do that. These videos are just me being myself. It's literally me just talking without a filter and just being myself. Honestly, it's also, I'm trying really hard to stay focused. And again, with every video, I'm going to try to stay focused on the actual game I'm playing, which right now is me reading a visual novel, sound novel, however you want to say it. A light novel of pictures and music. So I like reading the story. I enjoy the story, and I'm trying to stay focused on the story. But I am apparently very easily distracted. Heck, I think I have autism. I think I have ADHD. I know I have severe depression, and I'm pretty sure I probably have borderline personality disorder. I don't know. Either way, main point is this. I apparently get distracted very easily and then go off on giant tangents that just keep going and going and going. So, and this is probably turning into a very long video. So, and I'll have links in the description of just things I think are at least, air quotes, enjoyable to watch or listen to. I don't know. Several of them will probably be me doing stuff in German, so you can hear what my German accent's going to be. I can't say what it is because, well, I don't know how to speak German right now. So at best, I've learned a few words and I've tried some karaoke here and there. Okay, now you're just repeating the stuff grandfathers said. It must be a pain to play along with grandfather's crap even though you get paid for it. However, I can say this much. What? In ancient times, Rakanjima was feared and called Azukishima? Azuki Bean Island? The Azuki is said to be a corrupted form of Akujiki, and in fact it was called Akujikishima? Evil Appetite Island. That is what is told among the fishermen. I've heard about that before. Supposedly, there's lots of sunken rocks and shipwrecks around here, so the fishermen got scared and stayed away whenever they could, right? Evil spirits settled down in that word and have continually eaten the souls of people since ancient times. Quite a few people lost their lives because of this island. And then that monk, the traveling Shugenja, again, I swear that's a type of Pokemon, isn't it? Or whatever, built that shrine, reposed the souls, and settled them there, right? Sounds pretty crazy, though. And that shrine for the repose of souls was destroyed by an eerie, violent thunderbolt this summer, which tore up the darkness of the night. Kumasawa-san, you really like those stories. Okay, sure, it'd be pretty creepy if a thunderbolt took out a shrine, but well, it was all worn out from the start. Maybe it just got washed away by some big wave. Ha 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 ha. The evil spirits of Aku woke from their slumber and summoned Beatrice-sama. If Beatrice-sama happens to pay a visit to the family conference, if she does, Kumasawa fell silent for a moment. Jessica was pressing her to keep going, so that gap felt strange and eerie. When Kumasawa noticed that she had Jessica plenty scared with her silence, she grinned broadly. Well, now, I wonder what would happen. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Whoa, that sounds great. Of course. Won't you be able to be better at work? If you get a chance to enrich your heart by living the good life every once in a while. Yep, can't live right unless both your wallet and your heart are enriched after all. Sure, I'll keep that day open. Go ahead and make reservations. Okay, don't even think of missing it. Yeah, I'm counting on you. I love you, Kairi. Okay. After kissing the receiver, Rudolph hung up. Before his seat, there were several executives, with their sleeves rolled up, eagerly awaiting the end of that phone call. Sorry to keep you waiting. Have we heard anything from the States yet? Yes. You have a call from Dale Watanabe, the lawyer. I'll transfer it. On the whole, how's it going? Well, there does seem to be one unfortunate matter. It appears the other party has no intentions of withdrawing from their trial. Guess there's no fooling them. Please, transfer it here. Understood. I'll do that right away. The executive ordered that the external line be transferred to the secretarial office. At once, the phone in front of Rudolph rang. Hey there. Hello. Sorry for the wait. Ushiromiya speaking. Thanks. How's it going on your end? Hello, President Ushiromiya. Let's skip the pleasantries and jump into the main issue. I've got good news and bad news. Which would you like first? Might as well start with the bad. I hate fighting when there's no dessert. Very well. The bad news is that the other party is getting ready to prosecute. Just a few days ago, a similar trial resulted in a decision in favor of the plaintiff. The defendants were using roughly the same arguments we planned to use, but they were rejected in every case. I'm afraid to say it, but if we face the courtroom as we are now, it is extremely likely that each of our claims will get rejected. So, that trial ended up being a total bust after all, and I thought their position was even more solid than ours. That hurts. Okay, what about the good news? I managed to contact the executives of the other party. I explained the situation we're in and told them we have no intentions of tarnishing their brand's image and managed to get an understanding. They'll send us their terms over the next few days, and if these are carried out, they promise to withdraw their charges. This is the proposal according to the number 2 man on their board of directors. Your impression? To be honest, I expect their terms will be extremely severe. We estimate that changing the company name and brand name will be inevitable. I think we'll be able to earn some leeway by playing with the amount of settlement money, making a public apology in a major newspaper, and carrying all this out within a reasonable amount of time. They sure are making this complicated when they could just tell us to go broke. They only recently switched to a new president, and their groundwork hasn't been completely laid yet. If we resist until the bitter end, they fear the forces opposing the current president won't hesitate to aid their enemies. Hence, their big shots want this matter settled as quickly as possible, too. So we might still have enough leeway to get them to mitigate their terms if it'll lead to a quick settlement. Either way, are we still... Do you guys say either or either? Are we still looking at a crazy sum of money? You need to be prepared for that. Even that would be much cheaper than paying the punitive damages. Thank you very much, sir. Please contact me if anything new happens. We're paying you the big bucks, so no idle chit-chat. Thank you, goodbye. Rudolph hung up the phone. The executives sitting in the reception seats seemed to have guessed the contents of that discussion. You guys hear that? Simply put, they'll forgive us if we can pile up enough money. Now all we've got to do is haggle over the amount of that money. But, President, the likely sum for the settlement Mr. Watanabe indicated is too much. We don't have that much of a margin. If we'd known this would happen, we never would have started diversifying. The calculations were that we could escape a capital crisis if we managed to endure it for 3 years. To think we'd be stabbed at a time like this. How bad can our luck get? I guess we fell at the step of the hop, step, and jump. It's enough to make you cry. We have no choice but to draw the money from the main bank. Banks are no good. They only bet their money on the winners. The economy is improving, but we can't show weakness to the banks. President, do we have access to any funds that are unaccounted for? Funds we are unaware of? Quit it. Do I look like that kind of man? The contents of my wallet are totally exposed to you guys, okay? The account books over there show all our company has. In that case, we need to raise money. We need a sponsor who can draw in several million for us as soon as possible. President, couldn't something be worked out with one of your personal connections? President? Ha! Calm down, you bastards. Let me worry about raising the money. You guys just keep the business running without making too much noise. Our accusers are saying they'll let us be if we can show them the money. We've already got thick pipelines in Asia. Things will probably be shaky, but we'll be able to maintain our current deals. Basically, if we can just bring the money together, we'll be able to solve all of our problems. Just you watch. I'll fix all of this. I won't leave you out in the cold. Time to start getting your hopes up again. Once this is all behind us, I'll be rewarding all of you guys with a champagne tower. I promise you that. So shut up and follow me. Got it? The airplane suddenly shook, probably due to turbulence. Rudolph was jostled awake. He'd woken early that morning and ended up drifting off to sleep while resting in his seat. You okay? Are you sure you aren't still pretty sleepy? After all, it seems you've been really busy with work lately. Being busy with work is nothing to complain about, right? Once I've got nothing left to do, it won't be long before we're out in the cold. Good point. Now that even Battler-kun's back, we'd be looking at worse than just the two of us going around begging. Yeah. Our family's all together again for the first time in 6 years, so the leader of our family's got to give it his best if we want to spend some time alone together. When he looked out the window, he saw that the airplane had already started to drop in altitude considerably. The fishing boats, which had only looked like black grains a short while ago, were starting to become clearly recognizable. If I could prostrate myself before Father and get 10 million yen every time he slugged me, I'd do it a dozen times. Or maybe he could just go and die already. I have always depended heavily on his financial support, and now I'm after his inheritance. I'm headed straight to hell. I can hardly complain if Father doesn't want to meet the man I've become. Could it be that once again you do not plan on making an appearance at the family conference? Nanjo looked at Kinzo's face, sighing. Kinzo's eyes remained rooted to a strange book on magic. I have no intention of joining those vultures in their debate. They can discuss how they'll suck my bones dry on their own. How utterly contemptible. My. How troublesome. Nanzo shook his head slightly. To him, children and grandchildren were lovely things. He believed watching them grow was the only way to truly enjoy old age, so Kinzo's words were very saddening to Nanjo. If the time comes for me to leave this room, I will show myself, just as she does not show herself yet. When Kinzo raised his face, his gaze pointed at the portrait of the witch, which was respectfully displayed on the wall. Kinzo's mind didn't dwell for a moment on the fact that today was the family conference, where all of his beloved relatives would gather. It was filled only by the face of the witch and the oil painting, who never smiled except inside the portrait. Everybody knew that interrupting Kinzo when he talked about Beatrice would trigger his wrath. Today I will hold a certain ceremony. Oh? And what might that be? Perhaps it is closer to a gamble than a ceremony. After all, magic without risk can never house a miracle. Nanjo had heard Kinzo say this many times before. You might even call it a pet phrase of Kinzo's. Kinzo apparently believed that magic and miracles could occur if you gambled your own fate with a certain amount of risk and triumphed. I wonder what sort of gamble you're making. As the man who was once called the Golden Gambler and who's now so old he might pass on at any time, this should be well worth watching. Humph, I see. So the secret ritual I have developed after much research appears to be nothing more than a gamble to one in the universe in magic such as you? Very well. If I have faith in miracles and win, you will see clearly on this day that all my research did bear fruit, despite it seeming to be little more than the product of my eccentricity. If you win, it will be the end, just as you have already seen, and it's nothing more than the eccentricity of an old man who might leave this world at any time. Oh, just what sort of gamble could you be planning to take? As your friend, that bet, or ceremony as you called it, I can only pray most sincerely that you achieve victory in it. Yes, I thank you. Speaking of which, Kinzo-san, have you heard that a much longed-for guest will be present at the family conference this year? What? For once, Kinzo reacted to Nanjo's words and turned around. That's right, Battler-kun from Rudolph-san's family. I hear he'll be coming after an absence of 6 years. I'm sure he's became a splendid boy. Oh, Battler. I wouldn't call him longed for. A guest who's failed to show up for a mere 6 years. After hearing Battler's name and making a disappointed and ill-humored expression, Kinzo turned his back again. I imagine those 6 years went by in a flash for you, considering how you have immersed yourself in your research in this room. Humph! However, we might actually receive a visit from a truly longed-for guest. Everything depends on the results of the roulette. The roulette has already started to spin. Will it be rouge or noir? Tonight, let us enjoy ourselves as we see what kind of miracle the roulette will show us. The payoffs are large, and I don't intend to lose. Beatrice, accept my bet. At that time, the telephone on the table rang. The piercing sound seemed to irritate Kinzo, and he picked up the receiver to preserve the silence as much as he could. What is it? I'm busy. Genji's speaking. Everyone has arrived. What of it? Just serve them some tea or something. Certainly. I will do so. Kinzo hung up the phone rudely. Looking at that, Nanjo sighed yet again and shifted his attention outside the window. As he is now, I doubt Kinzo would pay any heed to any sort of guest. Could any guest possibly make Kinzo come out when the time comes, as he said? Kinzo had a single person in mind, but that was a guest who certainly wouldn't appear. Nanjo stared at the witch of the portrait with her impassive expression. unable to decide whether she was smiling or sad, and then gazed up at the lead-colored sky. So, welcome back to Rakanjima. We do hope you enjoy your stay and also survive. So, are all the pieces in place? Shall we line them up again? Shall we line them all up again and start a new game? Any objections from you? Nope, none. The witch looked at him challengingly, while elegantly smoking her pipe. And Battler? He just rudely shrugged his shoulders as if he didn't care what she did. He didn't meet her eyes, but that didn't mean he didn't intend to challenge her. It showed his clear determination to never be taken in by this bastard's tricks. It was an expression of his determination to fight. Don't tell me you're jumping into this without a plan. I don't even know how you'll make your first move, so I've got no plans or anything. Go ahead and move first. Are we treating this like a chess game? Humph. Naturally, I'll do so. How shall I break down your defenses? How many moves will it take to checkmate you? This is where you'll see me at my finest. No matter what moves you come at me with, I won't believe in you. As long as I stand my ground on that point, I won't lose. And that means this game's built in a way that makes it impossible for you to win. Perhaps you're right. However, I'm the one who decides how many times we'll hold this game. We'll repeat it over and over again until I win and you acknowledge your defeat. See? In other words, this is torture, an eternal torture that shall continue until you surrender to me. It shall go on endlessly until you acknowledge me and the existence of witches. Then I'll play your game endlessly as many times as it takes until you run out of patience. I have never lost in a test of stubbornness. Oh, did a certain witch plant that idea in your head? Cackle, cackle, very well. I'm tired of listening to you ramble. Come on, get this started. Then, let us begin. I already know all of your moves. A defense doesn't amount to much if the plan behind it is known. Don't think you'll be able to defy me with the same moves. Beatrice, I've got just one thing to say before we start. What is it? Go ahead and say whatever you want. However, whether I believe you is something I'll decide for myself. No matter how impressive this magic of yours is, my soul won't yield to you. You think this is torture from me? You're wrong. Then what else could it be? This is torture for you. Someday you'll surrender to me and give up. Until then, you'll be tortured over and over again. How amusing. What an entertaining metaphor. Torture where we torment each other. Yes, truly amusing. Isn't that just marriage? Are Batless and Batless. Are Battler and Beatrice going to get married at the end of this game? Batless. Come, shall we begin the torture? That torture. Ushiromia Battler. Why does it sound like she would have said that flirtatiously? I mean, still insane, but... I'm just saying lewd overtones. Does anyone out there remember what a metronome is? Also, what are your thoughts on ice-cold Pepsi? I like Pepsi. Every year, the relatives visiting Rokkanjima would let out a sigh of admiration at the rose garden that first greeted them. They would stop there to chat about the rose's beauty and how well they were blooming that year. In the midst of all this, there was a single unhealthy rose, and Maria became overwhelmed with dejection at its condition. But George used his quick wits, and saying that everyone would be fine if they took care of this poor thing, marked it with a candy wrapper and immediately restored Maria's good mood. Then Battler, with whom she had been getting along well since that morning, started talking about Halloween. This was such a favorite topic of Maria's that she began playing around energetically again. To Maria, that marshmallow jack-o'-lantern candy bought by her mother was probably the greatest sort of treasure. They seemed to have bought several, and she demanded a trick-or-treat from every person she met, giving them candy instead of the other way around. I wonder why Maria likes Halloween so much. I always feared it was a pretty unfamiliar event for the Japanese. Well, it's a kids' festival where they get to parade around in costumes, right? It can be fun to play around in an outfit that's different than usual. Isn't that just like the argument for cosplay? I think there's a slightly deeper cause behind it. After all, she is the witch, Maria-chan. Come to think of it, when we were at the airport, didn't Maria say that she was going to wear a costume and be a witch? Does she like witches? Yes, she loves them, so much that it becomes a problem. Hey, it's not so bad. You expect kids at that age to love fantastical stuff, right? If it was just a heroine on some TV anime, at least it'd be cute. Judging by Rose's appearance, she wasn't very happy about her daughter's love for witches as a mother. The cousins other than Battler seemed to realize this, and they shrugged, wearing stiff smiles. So you're arguing that because she likes witches, she also likes Halloween? If we don't know, why don't we just ask her? Hey, Maria, how are Halloween and witches related? As Battler asked that, George and Jessica let out a stifled "ah," as if they were trying to stop him, but too late. Maria might have been waiting for just that one question. After beaming for an instant, her expression turned a little mean, as if to say, "You're totally clueless, aren't you?" Maria, it's not an issue of we are being clueless, but as someone who is probably autistic themselves and sometimes can go off into various rants about whatever it is I am hyperfixated and interested in, obviously anyone who's really much into any topic, regardless of what it is, even if it has nothing to do with anime whatsoever, anyone who is very much well-versed in anything, if you ask them about it, even if you yourself know a decent amount about it, but you basically say, hey, can you explain this to me? It's not an admission of, I'm stupid, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's more so I'm acknowledging that you know much more about it than I do, and that it's something that you find very, very enjoyable to learn about. And people that do tend to be very fixated and interested in very, especially niche topics, tend to be very overly excited and energetic when it comes to explaining them to others, because it gives them a chance to talk about something that they feel confident and excited about. And while it is a little bit off-putting that you're having the mean expression of being like, oh, you're an idiot, it's like, Maria, could you just take the compliment that I'm acknowledging that you know more about something than me, and more so that I'm just giving you an opportunity to talk at length about your autistic interest? So could you rather just be happy that, I mean, maybe she's being happy in her own way. But I'm just saying this, if there's, and I'm sure every one of you out there has certain things that you're very much interested in that perhaps most people around you are not very interested in. And you perhaps don't have very many people to ever discuss those things with. But if all of a sudden you have the opportunity where people are actively interested in hearing what you have to say, surely you would enjoy the opportunity to discuss at length a topic that you like, that usually, well, you can't talk about too much with other people because other people find it boring or are just not interested in, or don't have an appreciation for your interest in. It was the face of a hobbyist who's been ticked off by an outsider saying something stupid about their favorite subject. I mean, like, imagine if you're talking like someone who's like really into Warhammer or something. You're like, hey, can you tell me about what the Emperor has to do with, mankind and Warhammer? It's like, we're not saying that to insult you, person interested in Warhammer. We're saying that to be like, hey, we're acknowledging that you know a lot more than the average person of this. And I'm saying I have an interest in it and that I would like to listen to you. If anything, it should be taken as a compliment and it should make you smile and happy. It should not be taken as an insult. It should be taken as the opposite of an insult. To the Celts, the changing strength of the sun over the course of a year signified its birth, its growing up period, its aging and death, and then its revival. I get it. In spring, the weak warm sun starts to grow up and get hot. Then it gradually gets weaker and worn out. Sort of makes sense to think of it as sun as living out an entire life. Yes. So they thought that at the end of October the sun died, was laid to rest in the land of the dead, and was then revived at the winter solstice. And the name they gave to the last day of their year, when the sun ended its 1-year lifespan and died, was Samhain. And they celebrated that. Isn't that... For anyone that's familiar with Michael Myers, are we looking at the same thing here? And they celebrated then. It's an interesting idea to think that the sun is revived on the day of the winter solstice, when the daylight hours start to grow longer again. It's a case that makes it clear how much the ancients regarded the sun as sacred. I see. So what does that have to do with witches? It seemed that my casual urging forward had slightly infuriated Maria. She glared at me with eyes that told me to shut up while she explained. Again, I'm not being rude to you by saying, oh, what does this have to do with witches? It's me expressing that, hey, I'm listening to you. I have basic understanding of what you have mentioned. I am listening to you intently. I am understanding what you are saying. And I am, enthusiastically interested in what you have to say next. It's, I'm trying to participate in the conversation. Otherwise, you'd just be talking to a wall, and it would seem like I'm ignoring you. So technically, the way I'm speaking to you is the most appropriate way possible, and any other choice I could possibly make would be incorrect. Plus, I'm allowed to be just generally interested. Again, one, not only from the sake of doing so for the sake of conversation and politeness, but also maybe I just really do want to hear the rest of the story. And I also would like to be part of the conversation, so I'm at least trying to speak in here and there. Otherwise, I'll feel like, you might forget that you're talking to me and just start thinking that you're talking to yourself. And I'm like, hey, I want you to remember I'm part of the conversation. Maria seemed to be having a blast as she talked, so I decided not to interrupt. In the interval between October and November, life and death becomes the closest they ever will. The face of autism. Yeah, again, I have to say, my personality, I would describe as a combination of Battler and Maria. If you combined both of their personalities in one person. Life and death become the closest they ever will. The Celts believed that during this time, the world of the living grew closer to the world of the dead and other worldly beings, and many of those living in the other world would come to visit. It was like the Bond Festival in Japan. Kihihihi. At the time, people believed that souls returning to the physical world would go into people's houses or possess people and do bad things. So in order to avoid harm, they performed many rituals. One of those was to imitate creepy monsters and to scare the souls back, which is apparently a way to avoid being possessed. That part became a festival which turned into a costume parade. You really know a lot, don't you, Maria? Ain't it the truth? Even I never knew Halloween had such a history. But where did that whole trick-or-treat thing come from? Her knowledge was so extensive that the adults had suddenly started listening, and too, Maria, who was normally treated like the youngest of all the time, puffed out her chest with pride. Saying that this was just a kids' discussion, Rosa suggested the adults go on ahead and set their luggage down in the guest house, but nobody else agreed to go with her, and she let out a heavy sigh. Ooh, trick-or-treat is just for fun. It has nothing to do with what was originally a Celtic ceremony. That was created later when the Christian customs were mixed in. However, I think it's right for Halloween to be that way. According to Maria, the souls of the dead weren't the only ones who visited from the non-human world. There were also spirits with intimate connections to people's everyday lives. Humans could receive favors from those spirits, so they had managed to gain magnificent blessings, as well as a year's worth of good crops. So basically Halloween was a bit of a harvest festival. I get it. Now that you mention it, I guess October is a turning point in all kinds of ways, including the seasons. Sort of the opposite in April in Japan. Yeah, that might be a good place to mark it. Ooh, and also the witches hold a witch assembly then called a Sabbath. The witches thank the spirits that give out blessings of prosperity and reward them. Halloween costumes imitate the guests that come from the other side. In other words, you might say giving out candy is a way to show gratitude for the yearly harvest. Ooh, just like George Onichan says. So Halloween is a time when those two worlds intermingle. In other words, it's the most important chance for witches to intermingle with guests from that world. And what you're trying to say? Is that what you're trying to say? Ooh, just like Battler says. And you know what? You know what? October is when the power of witches and demons is the most vigorous and prosperous. I'm sure Beatrice will come. And then we'll eat marshmallows, candies together, and she'll bring me to the Golden Land with her. We'll sing magical songs together, learn magic spells together, learn how to draw magic circles together, and then we'll learn the secrets of runes, and I'll become a great witch really, really quickly. Okay. Awkward silence. My, isn't that wonderful? It's best for kids to have dreams. By the way, Rosa, how old will Maria be this year again? Maria, that's enough of that. Don't worry about it, Rosa-san. It's a dream all girls have at one time or another. Thank you very much. But Maria's already graduated from that age. Hey, I'm telling you to stop. Rosa scolded Maria, trying to shut her up before her cheery discussion about black magic earned her the snickers of the relatives. Oh, that sounds pretty detailed and impressive. By the way, who was Beatrice again? I know I've heard that name somewhere before. Battler had been gone for 6 years, and had completely forgotten about the legend of the Rokkanjima witch. However, when he had said he didn't know Beatrice's name, Maria's once bright mood soured in an instant. When he saw that, Battler immediately remembered that it was the name of the witch of this island, but the damage had been done. Until Maria's mood improved, she went on and on about many mysterious fabulous episodes regarding the Golden Witch. That's enough, Maria. Thank you, Battler-kun, for letting her chat with you. Cannon-kun, don't you have work to do? Please leave now. Goda-san, it looked like everyone wants to set down their bags for the time being. Sorry, but could you guide everyone to the guest house? Certainly. Well then, everyone, allow me to guide you. Then, if you will excuse me. Goda led the relatives, and they began to head towards the guest house. They were eager to set down their luggage and take a breather, so they didn't realize that Rosa and Maria weren't coming with them. After watching them leave towards the guest house, Rosa's face changed suddenly. She let go with the hand that had been gripping Maria this whole time. There was a bright red mark there, making it clear how much excessive force she had been using on Maria's slender arm. That hand then slapped against Maria's head, pinched her left ear, and lifted. Even though I'm always telling you not to talk about witches, haven't I always said that was our promise together? Mama, ouch, mama, out, 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 ouch. You really do like blabbering on about Halloween all the time, don't you? A festival for witches? Who cares about the Celts, black magic, and all that idiotic trash? You're 9 years old. 9. Because of that scene you made in the train, I went to all the trouble of making us stop and buying you those disgusting monster marshmallows that look like they have fluorescent paint on them. I went out of my way to buy it, even though it made us late. How much more will you embarrass me before you're satisfied? As Rosa cursed, she twisted Maria's ear up, almost as though she was about to tear it off. An expression of anguish spread across Maria's face, while she frantically stood on her tiptoes, trying to soften the pain in her ear, at which point Rosa then lifted her up and threw her into the rose garden. Rosa suddenly grabbed the candy that Maria had been holding. She threw it on the ground and stepped on it over and over. To Maria, it was supposed to be proof of a memory of a brief span of time when her mother had bought something fun for her, but now that same mother was grinding it into the ground right in front of her. It was as though a brand had been pushed into Maria's eyes, leaving a mark that could never be erased. What's the deal with this disgusting candy? Disgusting, disgusting! It's because you're like that. It's all because you're like that. Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. As she said that, she struck Maria's head over and over again with her palm. She didn't hit Maria's face, because the red swelling would stand out. Maria closed her eyes tightly, patiently bearing her mother's violence. No, that wasn't quite right. Come back, Mama. Come back, Mama. Save me, Mama. Defeat the bad witch. She kept bearing Rosa's assault, muttering that over and over. Didn't I tell you to stop talking about witches? Why you? Rosa, tired from hitting her daughter, breathed so hard her shoulders shook. Maria grasped her hands together, withstanding it, hoping her mother would return soon. Mama, come back quickly. Save me, Mama. Beat the bad witch. Fine, just stay there like that forever. Just stand there mumbling about witches and Halloween forever. After hurling those words at Maria, Rosa left in the direction of the guest house, leaving Maria behind. Maria, forgetting even that it was okay to cry, kept staring down at the jack-o'-lantern candy that had been trampled beyond recognition. Oh, Rosa, where were you? I'm sorry. The roses were so wonderful, Rosa, set your luggage down quickly and come with us. We're gonna go say hi to Aniki. What happened to Maria-chan? Is she still by the flower beds? Yes. It seems she found a rose she likes and insisted that she take care of it, refusing to listen. I decided to let her do what she wants for a while. We sometimes forget that girls have their own little world. Sometimes we have to respect that, right? That's right. Thanks for your concern, Kairine-san. Goda-san, where is our room? I will guide you this way. Allow me to hold your luggage. I'll be fine. I can carry it myself, thank you. Rosa went into her room, guided by Goda. She then closed the door somewhat violently and threw her luggage on top of the bed. Sound of silence. Long ellipses. She got down on her knees in front of the bed, burying her face in it. For a while, Rosa made as if to shred the sheets with her fingernails, sobbing constantly. Maria-sama? Are you all right? Cannon appeared from behind a thicket after watching Rosa leave. I'm fine. Maria gave a creepy laugh, but to Cannon, who had seen the whole thing, it looked like she was enduring as best she could. You know, there might be like some genetic mood disorder thing with Rosa that obviously passed down to Maria. Might even be a thing that's in, I don't know, everyone in this family, heck, even the people married into it. Almost like, again, Hinamizawa or Hinamizawa syndrome. She's a horrible person. I can't believe she's a mother. It can't be helped. You can't expect anything better than that. To enter a container of that level. I'm just fine. Kihihi. Cannon got down on his knees and picked up the trampled candy. It was tragic just looking at it. He thought about dusting it off and returning to her, but really couldn't do so with it in that condition. Just as he was wondering what to do, he met Maria's gaze. No, that wasn't quite right. Maria was looking at the candy Cannon had picked up. Right now, Maria's heart was surely the same as the candy that had been trampled into a pulp. Cannon realized this, but didn't know what he should do. That's right. I'll exchange it for the one I received earlier. Cannon remembered that a similar candy he'd received from Maria was in his pocket. Maria stuck out her hand. Cannon thought she was trying to take it, so he held out the candy, but Maria didn't try to grasp it. Then Cannon realized she was saying, "Give it back." The crushed one. No matter how tragic and trampled it was, this candy was Maria's. Her mother had bought it for her. No matter how tragic, it had to be this candy and no other. If only it were intact enough that it could be fixed by dusting it off. Cannon hung his head. Dusting it off is the most I can do. I'm sorry. Cannon held out the miserable-looking candy Maria wanted. She took it and spoke. Thank you. A human can't do anything except dust it off, but a witch could restore it to how it once was. It would be easy for Beatrice. Kihihi. Maria-sama, you know about Beatrice-sama? Except for Battler, there was no way anyone related to the Ushiromi family could have failed to know Beatrice's name. But just now, Maria had bragged about Beatrice to Battler. She had spoken almost as though she was meeting with Beatrice regularly. Cannon felt a sharp pain inside his left hand, which was curled into a fist. In the past, a witch called Beatrice had appeared to tempt him and Shannon. He had always tried to think of it as a bad dream. However, Shannon insisted that it definitely was a real witch. And then, this summer, the shrine to local Shinto god was hit by lightning, disappearing without a trace over the span of a single night. He knew about Shannon breaking the mirror, and he remembered that as the witch departed, she said she'd eventually be revived. And now this girl who believed absolutely in Beatrice spoke as though she had met Beatrice herself. Cannon couldn't suppress a vague sense of foreboding welling up in his heart. For a while, Maria remained silent, though she could see into Cannon's heart, almost as though she was waiting for a memory of Beatrice to be revived. And then she spoke, as though it was a fact. Hehehe, you know, I'm friends with Beatrice. I'm even going to meet her today and play. Hehehe. You're going to play? Yeah, of course we'll play. We're going to study the magic together. Hehehe. It'd be kind of like the face you make, like, when a kid comes up and says, "Hey, I'm going to go meet Charles Manson. We're going to play together." Like, wait, what? 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 The face of that witch, whom Cannon had tried to pretend was a bad dream, began to slowly creep back into the back of his mind. Father says he's extremely busy with his research. Unfortunately, it seems he'll be unable to come down. Come on, we've put this conference in our schedules and come all the way out to Rockinjima during this crazy, busy fall season. You'd think Dad could at least be a bit more sociable. Yeah, seriously, Dr. Nanjo, is it really his research and his mood that are the problem? He isn't already bedridden, unable to get up, right? Well, I wonder. There is not much I can say. Nanjo glanced at Natsui. It seemed he thought it wasn't his place to speak without first getting Natsui's approval. Father's state of health is better than ever. It would be exceedingly rude to call him bedridden. But he only has 3 months left to live, right? Normally, wouldn't you expect him to be wasted away, unable to get out of bed? Isn't that right, Dr. Nanjo? For a normal patient, that would probably be the case. But Kinzo has extraordinary willpower. Perhaps that willpower has frightened even the Reaper away. Well, if he's that energetic, then I guess we can have a little to worry about for the near future, right? Though, if he's got that much spunk, I wish he'd at least come to greet us. Isn't the whole point of this family conference to come and see Dad's face? I'm not even sure why we came now. Don't say that. If he were here, you'd complain the whole time about being unable to relax. Shouldn't we celebrate the fact that all of us siblings have gathered this year to spend some time alone? We didn't get to see him at all at last year's family conference either, right? Can't you understand why his blood children might want to see him after 2 years? If there's anything you'd like to say in greeting, I will tell him for you. Or, Ava-san, is there something you'd like to discuss with Father beyond merely greeting him? Come on, what are you talking about? Sheesh. Give it a rest, Ava. Natsui-san, forgive us. Ava's just worried about Father's condition as his daughter. Please try and understand how she feels. Indeed. Look how quickly you've grown to respect Father, that you know how much longer he has to live. Yes, I believe I do understand why you want to see him so much. Humph. What are you trying to say? Quit it, Aneke. Why don't we pray that his mood will improve by dinner? Anyway, we've only just arrived. For now, we're only here for a casual greeting, and we could even hold the family conference without Dad. In fact, there's a few things we siblings shouldn't bring to him until we've formed a unified opinion. Isn't that right, Hideyoshi-san? Yep, just as Rudolph-kun says. This is the only time of year we can meet in person. We've got to take this valuable time seriously and be frank with each other. Even though the tea hadn't arrived yet, they were very determined. But before that, perhaps we can spare the time to enjoy some black tea at our leisure. Again, do you guys say leisure or leisure? Surrounded by the wonderful furnishings of the parlor. Kairi's words seemed to contain a subtle admonition directed at everyone gathered there. They all understood, and as they cleared their throats, they straightened their neckties. The atmosphere in the room returned to normal for a time. Excuse me, I've brought some tea. Hey, Shannon-chan, you just keep getting prettier and prettier. Shannon entered the parlor, pushing the serving cart. Everyone decided to relax and enjoy some black tea for the time being. A wonderful aroma began to spread throughout the room. As far as anyone could see, the strained atmosphere from before Shannon's arrival seemed like a lie. Of course, Shannon, who was setting out the tea, probably didn't even notice. Kairi seemed to laugh faintly at how adult everyone was suddenly acting. Rudolph didn't like it when Kairi took the initiative and spoke at the family conference. It was his worthless male pride. He probably didn't want to look like a weak man who took advice from his wife. She understood that and did her best to refrain from saying any more than what was necessary. So she separated herself from the circle of siblings who only superficially appeared to be enjoying some time together alone and casually drank her tea near the window. Oh, Rosa-san, I thought you siblings were enjoying some alone time. You must be joking. Sorry, don't take it the wrong way. Heck, in general, I like Kairi's facial expressions. Though I'm sure we'll see some facial expressions I perhaps won't feel too fondly of eventually in this story, because I feel like everyone's going to make some very, very untoward facial expressions. Rosa's been kind of taking the lead on that so far in this episode. Sorry, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just a little exasperated by my husband. Apparently Rosa hadn't been able to keep up with that on-the-surface friendliness. They'd come here to fight bloodily and dirtily, each trying to grab a part of the inheritance for themselves. She probably didn't like suddenly pretending that they were all chummy, or maybe she was still too immature for that. It looks like the winds started blowing hard out there. The plants are all shaking so much. The typhoon's probably gotten pretty close already. I wonder if we'll see a lot of rain tonight. Maria-chan's really grown a lot this past year. Does it look that way since she still can't even fold her own clothing yet? No, it's true. It's because she has such an affectionate mother. She'll grow into a girl with a rich heart. About that. Rosa fell silent. Maybe she was unsure as to what Kyrie meant by that. Well, I'm sure Kyrie means nothing wrong by it. Obviously, I would say Rosa's perhaps feeling a bit guilty and perhaps may see a bit of malevolence in it because she's thinking Kyrie might be, poking at her over, Rosa's earlier behavior. But keep in mind, Kyrie wasn't there for that. So from Kyrie's point of view, that stuff isn't going on and she's simply trying to compliment. So she's trying to legitimately and sincerely, encourage Rosa. However, due to information that Kyrie does not have, that Rosa assumes that she might have, Rosa's reading a lot of malice into a very benign statement. I'm a failure as a mother, or she's just being outright honest with her own shame in terms of how she was behaving earlier, and it's just being very reflective. But I mean, it's good to be pensive about things, Self-reflection is good. Children don't get to choose their parents. That poor girl. Doesn't that go both ways? A parent can't choose what kind of child to have they either. I mean, you do raise that kid. Bit lower lip. This isn't a matter of assigning blame. Isn't it enough that you take your time and watch over her as she grows, conscious of the fact that you'll be living together? You spend every day with Maria-chan, so you probably don't notice the small changes, but the rest of us who haven't seen her for a year can clearly see how much she's grown. If you really mean that, thank you very much. Then, if you will excuse me, if there is anything you desire, please call for it at any time. Shannon bowed politely and left the room. As Hideyoshi and Rudolph, who had a soft spot for women, watched her go, the atmosphere in the room began to revert back to what it had been right before Shannon's visit. If Father can't come down, well, that does still leave us with certain things we can discuss. Right, Rudolph? Yep, that's right. We didn't come all the way out here just to drink some dusty tea, right? Very well. What is the matter that you're clearly so eager to discuss? My, those people really are determined. They certainly got started quick. I need to join in too. If I don't assert myself, those people will quickly forget that there are 4 siblings. Sounds like you've got it pretty tough yourself. Maybe I spoke too harshly. Forgive me. No, I don't mind. I am the one who should be apologizing. As a pair of mothers with daughters, we should talk more often. Every single time we meet, we end up talking about something shady. You can blame the atmosphere in the mansion for that. Once we start breathing in this air, the mood between us gets so strained. Just once, I'd like to have a nice long cup of tea with you when we aren't attending a family conference. There's a wonderful coffee shop in Ginza. Or is that Ginza? That's a favorite of mine. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Please, let me invite you sometime soon. Thank you, Kairi-san. That sounds great. Oh no. The sky has gotten dark pretty fast. I could almost believe the people in this room made the weather worse. There's already thunder. Oh? Was that one there? Huh? There really were small splashes of rain on the glass of the parlor window. The weather seemed to have worsened faster than expected. Just then a silent thunderbolt struck inside Rose's head, and she remembered that her beloved child, you guys say beloved or beloved? Child was out in the rose garden. A normal girl would try to go inside if the weather got bad. But Maria was different. She would sometimes get stubborn and refuse to move if the rain or even spears fell from the sky. That's right, I told that child to just stay there doing that forever, didn't I? Oh no. Maria. Later, everyone. Bye.